Welcome to the Artistically You podcast, where mixed media art is a place for all. Here, we are going to talk about art as a mindful practice, connect with our creativity, and embrace curiosity. This is your host, mixed media artist, Jana Oliveira.
Hey creatives, today we're going to talk about the benefits of art for mental health. First, I want to start with a disclaimer that I did psychology and I was a registered behavior therapist from Washington State, but I'm not anymore. This will not replace your therapy or meds or anything like that, but are things and tools to help you on a day-by-day, to-day basis, how art is so helpful for your mental health, which is something I believe has helped me and prevented me really for taking meds for a long time, and I believe that's the power of art. So I've talked about this already in the podcast that I believe firmly that art has healing properties in all forms of it. I'm not just talking about pain, but I think everything that we do with our hands is very beneficial for mental health. I believe that when we concentrate in doing things that we love, like playing an instrument or cooking a meal that you enjoy, all these things take the space of the ego telling you all the time negative things, because the ego doesn't have space when you are doing things that create joy in your mind. So, for example, if you exercise and if you're using your body many times as a form of relaxation, you're going for a walk or you swim, and many people say that they feel so much better afterward. They clean their heads, they clean their thoughts. So if you are meditating or using your mind in the process when you create art, using both these processes, I think we are using not just the mind when you're creating, but you're using your body as well. So I discovered, and I'm going to put this in the show notes, that I studied in the Journal of Art Therapy. 3/4 of participants experience lower levels of stress hormone cortisol during their 45-minute art making session, regardless of previous art experience. And it's amazing how creating with your hands and using our minds actually can impact the hormones in our bodies. It's just amazing when I saw this study. And something that it exists out there, actually, there are therapists, they have education and licensing to do art therapy, something that maybe if you're interested and if you have access, I think it's something that you should look for. I think it's not as common as finding a psychologist or a social worker, but definitely I think art therapy is something that's starting to grow, which is amazing. It's amazing how creating with our hands and using our minds, has this impact. The craft industry and the art is huge. It's not a surprise that human beings love color. They love to see not just beautiful things, but intriguing things. And we have something that is amazing called curiosity. And as children, we want to touch the Play-Doh, the crayons, the scribble, touch a different texture of food. And we should take advantage of this capability, because it's a capability that sometimes we take for granted, to have curiosity. In my house, I have a son that is autistic. He doesn't have any curiosity whatsoever, and that affects his social and emotional skills. So I see how the lack every day of curiosity affects deeply his capability to deal with other human beings and to learn things that otherwise would be easier for other kids, because they have curiosity of trying things and trying new things. And because of that, he is attracted to sameness and to routines and doing the same things over and over. And that's how would be our lives without curiosity. And we have to appreciate that we have that in our lives, that we like different things, we like to change things, we like to experiment. And again, that's what I talk in the episode about mixed media art, and that is, in my case, that Joe art is so amazing about mixed media art, is that we are curious about mediums and we try different things. So curiosity is huge and facilitates us to get in the zone to create art for our mental health. art, no matter what is, bring that connection back to, the stages that when we were young and we didn't care about things. So today, no wonder that actually art therapists use art in many forms, not just for treat clients for emotional issues with pain, also, but to stop the brain to get to obsess about other things. Art is like meditation. In that moment, when I go create, I forget about things. I seriously don't see the time go, and I don't have any negative thought while I am creating. Art works the plasticity of the brain, which makes our brain active in a good way. We need plasticity in order for the brain to grow and prevent even diseases like Alzheimer's. So it liberates good chemicals in the brain. Study says that art impacts the visual parts of the brain, so it keeps it activated, which can even prevent, as I said, all kinds of things going on. We know that the brain, to prevent aging, it needs to have plasticity all the time. It needs to be learning all the time so it can grow. So in 2018, a study published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology said that creating art creates activity in the frontal lobe of the brain. It's just amazing the things that can happen when we create art. So we know that the frontal lobe is the visual part of the brain. So it's amazing how art can benefit the brain so much. Above all, the benefits of the well-being, how creating art brings you joy. And now it's becoming harder and harder to find moments that bring us pure, genuine joy. And I truly believe when you are there in the moment with your things, just you, a music or essential oil or something like that, you really take your mind to another stage. One thing that we have to take care though is the self-negative talk that can remove all these benefits that we talked about, right? Because it definitely has another side that self-doubt comes when we are creating art. Because we have sometimes preconceived ideas of what art should be or what we would like to create in art. Sometimes you see a post on Instagram and you like so much and you go and you wanted to create the same thing. But you have to see that sometimes the artist is doing that for like 10 years and you just got it started. So, we have to be realistic that it takes time. Because of that, sometimes you get frustrated, and the frustration can take the good side of art. There are moments, of course, that if you're an experienced artist and if you're creating art for the commission or something like that, of course, we'll have a plan. But most of all, what I want to say is that we should start the art process with an attitude of receiving joy, calming the heart and the mind. So if we are open to just the process, and be able to say to ourselves, okay, today I'm going to create whatever. And it can be bad art because we need bad art to do good art. Something that also helps me is to set the mood, as I said before, that helps the relaxation. I like to use essential oils, especially when creating. I like the doTERRA. It has some blends that I like to use a lot. I use a lot one blend called Cheer and another one it's Motivate, and I always like lavender because lavender is well known for healing properties and calming. I also sometimes use an app called Calm, which was recommended by me by my psychologist. Calm has a part of just songs, and you can choose the categories of the songs that you want. So it's sometimes while I'm creating, I try to put these calming songs. If I came to the art process or to my table here more agitated, sometimes I just want to have fun. I don't want to think much about it. I sometimes just put a podcast. Although I have to confess that sometimes when I create and I listen podcasts, I can't do with audiobook because I get so concentrated and so into the art that I really don't even pay attention what I'm listening. It's just maybe noise in the background. So nowadays I'm trying to do these things more with music that has no people singing and that is calm music. I started to recently use incense, and it's something new for me. It's a little bit stronger than essential oils, but it has been an interesting experience. So, do whatever it helps you to set the mood and, to do a good environment for you to create and to reduce the stress and the negative thoughts. I'm sure we'll talk more about this topic. Let me know if you already have any kind of ritual that you do when you create. And if you're just starting, how do you feel when you create? It's important to remind us that this is a process for joy and for our mind. So we should not bring stress, because if we are not creating with joy, what's the point of it? So remind to trust yourself, trust your capabilities, remind to yourself that you are creating beauty no matter what beauty is, and you deserve that moment. Be proud of you for taking the time for yourself. I think it's important for us to take time for ourselves. So again, you can contact me. I would love to hear from you. Any feedback about the topics we are talking about, you can leave a comment on the blog post of this podcast, or you can just message me on Instagram at Jana_2words, and I would love to hear from you. I see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Check episode notes at 2worldart.com/blog. Connect with Jana on Instagram at Jana_2worlds. And make sure to receive our artful insights by signing up at bit.ly/join2worldsart.